Hello, my friends. Welcome to this live stream with Rachel. I was going to call you Kelly.
Hey,
Rachel and Kelly. No, Rachel and Carrie.
Rachel, did you know that Kelly was the name that my parents were going to name me, but they already knew another baby named Kelly, and so there you go.
I didn't know that, but my childhood best friend was named Kelly. Still is Kelly. So I guess no surprise that I would want to call you Kelly. Hello. So we are here today to talk about how Olympians and you can make quantum leaps. Because obviously it's Olympics week. And I was thinking okay, so these people are incredible athletes, right? They're dedicated, but they might not feel so different from their peers, right? They are really focused on what they want, but they don't always believe in themselves, right? They have ups and downs. They lose races. But then one moment, if one race goes the way they want, they are then the best in the world, an Olympic medalist, right? And that is a quantum leap. That is a quantum leap. And so how do they get there? How do you go from trying, winning, losing, things going your way, things not going your way, your belief in yourself going in and out? How do you go from that, not seeing the results you want necessarily, maybe sometimes, to it's on, everything's working in your favor, it's going right, you've got some momentum, you feel like a completely different person? How do you accomplish that? So that's what you're in for today. If you're here, let us know in the chat. And if you're on replay, leave us a comment. So Carrie, you are an athlete. You are following the Olympics. So what does this topic bring up for you?
Well, I know that you came with a list, but I will say that as you were talking about the quantum leap, the thing that most of us do is that maybe it's because I watched that show as a kid. Did you watch Quantum Leap?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where he literally jumped into someone else's body or jumped into he went back in time or went forward in time or whatever. So I think of a quantum leap as this big jump, this big leap. But really, you nailed it, right? Simone Biles didn't wake up one day and was so much better than she was the day before, right? She just woke up one day with a new label,
Mm-hmm.
with a new perspective, or maybe that the world was looking at her differently. But it's that. So I guess I'm thinking about quantum leaps where little change, little change, little change, little change, little change, little change. All of a sudden, everything's different.
Yeah.
But it's not really all of the sudden. It's been happening over a long time. A quantum leap to me, feels much more of a perspective shift than anything else.
But it could also be an opportunity shift, right? So you are sort of the same, right? You have a new distinction, a new title, a new fame, a new eyeballs on you somehow, right? But that comes with new opportunities from the outer world, right? Like your incremental change inside created a large shift in the outer world. And so you're getting asked to speak, write a book, go places, you're sponsored, you're getting money from, brands that you love, people are watching you, you have an audience, right? So it's a little change. It's just a little bit more of a change in you, but the world has caught up with you. Right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It's that. So I haven't coached anyone at the Olympics, but I have been the coach of people who have become Olympians. And that's a beautiful way to talk about it because they're the same. They're doing the same things. One person who became an Olympian, I was a coach. She was a pole vaulter. So I was not her direct coach. I was just a coach on the staff. But she's the same now, right? She just it was a shift in opportunity after, I guess what I'm getting at is she always was. She always was this talented, this hardworking, this deserving, right? She always was that. She just came to embody it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Carrie and I were actually just talking about embodiment right before this call and how important that is for you to match up with the worldly things you want. Money, mostly, right? Like, where does money live? Money only lives on the dimension of physicality. If you're spending most of your time sort of, disembodied, floating around, living more, out in the ethers and the higher dimensions, which could be fun, right? We love it up there. But if you're struggling with money, what you got to do is come down, settle in, get comfortable here, embody, because that is where money lives. That's where these opportunities live, right? Like, I think the biggest quantum leap in this kind of sense that happened to me was when I published my intuitive art book, because I'd been doing intuitive art my whole life, pretty much teaching it for a decade already before I published my book. I knew this was all the stuff I did every day. I've always been a writer. But when I published that book, and I even, I did the whole thing, I sent it out for review, and it kept getting picked up by these big review places, getting ordered by bookstores and libraries, and then ended up, traveling to Canada and having appearances and getting my book in BookCon and like getting in the New Yorker. Like, all of a sudden, like, I'm still the same person. I'm not really doing anything differently, except I'm embodied. I'm engaging with the world, and the world is showing up for me. And it's amazing. My book's been sold in over 37 countries, sold thousands of copies. And I published it myself. I didn't even have the backing of any kind of big 5 publisher out there. So these are the things that can happen when you do the things that Olympians do to get there. And so I guess we'll talk about that.
Yeah, it's reminding me of, I just, right before I got on with you, I was scrolling Instagram and saw a post about Simone Biles and Jordan Childs. Do you know who I feel like everyone knows who Simone Biles is. Do you know who Jordan Childs is?
Yeah.
So I didn't really know who Jordan Childs was. Like, I've seen her, but you guys haven't even watched the gymnastics Olympics yet. Like, I already know the ending, but I want to watch it, and I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. But it was saying how Jordan Childs had been like really, really good for a long time, but had never made the quantum leap to Olympian. And she was ready to kind of throw in the towel and give up because she had been not selected for the team. I think probably two Olympics in a row, I'm guessing. She just was looked over. Or maybe it wasn't 2 Olympics, maybe it was a world championships team but whatever. She hadn't been selected for the big teams. She hadn't like broken through to that next level. And she was inconsistent, and that's why she hadn't broken through. Like, when she was on, she was on. And Simone Biles invited her to come to her gym and work with her, and they didn't work on her skills. I mean, maybe they worked on her skills, but the focus was on finding her joy, finding her confidence, like reconnecting with herself. And when she did that, she made the quantum leap to Olympian. And it's similar to, I don't know if you're following, Alona Mar, is that her last name, Mar? It starts with an M. Do you know who she is?
I think I've seen posts about her.
Mm-hmm. So she's a rugby player.
Yeah.
And I found her social media, or her social media found me. And I didn't know she was a U.S. national team rugby player. I saw her content because she was talking to strong athletic women. and kind of saying I think her post that probably went the most viral was about saying like, I have a BMI of 30 and I'm also a badass. But point being is, for Alona, I hope I'm saying her name right, she made that quantum leap by speaking her truth, by talking. She happened to already have been a badass at rugby. The world wasn't really watching rugby until they started watching her. But she was speaking her truth. She was saying, I've always been a big girl. She was kind of already like an Olympian, but she was no Michael Phelps or Simone Biles or like anything like that. Even if she had been the greatest rugby player of all time and scored and done all the things that she always does on the field, she would not have ascended to where she is now in terms of like, she's on the Wheaties box. I don't know if she is yet, but she will be. Like, she is like the superstar of these Olympics. But she wouldn't have made that quantum leap if she hadn't have spoken her truth. If she hadn't have stood up for, so she's like what probably most people would perceive as like built masculinely, but she wears lipstick and she wears her hair down and she just talks about that. And so, yeah, she made the quantum leap by being fully embodied, by embracing the wholeness of who she is. Yes. Bless you, Rachel.
A sneeze of yes.
Of agreement. And yeah, I mean, I like I said, I've coached Olympians, but I haven't coached anyone like at the Olympics. But I've been around high level athletes for a very, very, very long time. And I mean, I'm kind of afraid to say this out loud because now it's like, oh man, I know what I got to do. But like, you just get to your fuck it moment,
Mm-hmm.
you know, where you're like, I just might as well go for it.
And you're going to have to do that a lot, right? So here's part of my list. And hey, Guillaume, and hi, Jane. Thanks for saying hello. So I'll read you my whole list and then we can talk about whatever we want. So this is just what I jotted down of how Olympians make quantum leaps and how anyone can make a quantum leap. So they're focused on their why, not on the medal, not on the thing that they're going to get. They're focused on why they're doing it, right? Like Jordan had to find her joy. She had to find, why are you doing this? They're present in the moment, right? What do I need to do right now to be the person I want to be? What is available to me right now in this moment? They do the daily work, right? In our case, right? In their case, alignment, getting present, doing whatever practice you need to do the skill, the trade that you want to be doing. They have a coach, right? No Olympian is going to the Olympics without a coach, right? Because the coach sees more than you. They can hold the container for you. They can guide you. They see your talent. They see your potential more than you. And they can remind you to believe in yourself when you're faltering, right? They keep showing up. So important not to give up, right? You never know what is around the next corner. Your higher self does, though. And if it keeps telling you to go on that path, you can be assured your path is going to where you want it to go. So you got to keep showing up for that. And then finally, they believe in themselves, right? Whether that's through the help of a coach and also in their hearts, they believe in themselves to keep going. That doesn't mean that that don't falter. It doesn't mean they don't have bad days, right? They don't have choices to make. When they get injured, do I keep going on or do I just call it quits, right? An obstacle comes. Do I keep going on or do I call it quits? Do I pivot? Do I quit in general? You're going to have to make all those choices, but with help, it's a lot easier.
Yes. Amen, Rachel. I'm going to say them again. 1, they're focused on their why. And I love what you said, that recognizing, like, if they think their why is to get to the Olympics, that's not usually the thing that's going to get them to the Olympics, right? It has to be a deeper why. And oftentimes a coach can help them get to that, right? Almost always there comes a point where, as a coach, we're like, oh my God, it's not about this race. It's not about this thing, right? What is this really about? So I love that. And
Yeah,
then
before you go on, I just want to talk Nikki Hiltz, right? They, in a lot of their interviews, were talking. So, okay, who is Nikki Hiltz? Nikki Hiltz is a non-binary runner who killed it in the 1500 meter this track season and at Olympic trials. And after every race, they were talking about how, like, I'm not in it for the goal. I'm not in it for the Olympics. I just showed up to have a race that, you know, I don't know what they said exactly, but it was like to have fun, to enjoy myself, to do it. And then at the end, they're like, I don't know how to not win. So they just sprint ahead. It been the most incredible races I've ever seen. So excited to see them. I think tomorrow.
track starts tomorrow. I don't know when the 1500 prelims are, but yes.
At any rate, they had the right attitude of just showing up and seeing what you can do in the moment, and then making just waves upon waves in the track community. I mean, incredible. So that is what I'm talking about. Because that's when you're relaxed. That's when you're allowing. That's when you let your higher self in to do the work for you.
Well, and that leads to the number 2 point, right? Which is fully present. So like I had the distinct joy of being present when Nikki Hiltz qualified for the Olympics. But, you know, we've seen this time and time again. And I'm using running as an example because that's my sport. But like so many interviews, you know, like, when did you make your move? What was the plan? Like and so many times I'll say, like, I didn't know. I didn't know until all of a sudden there I was and I could do it, right? They're just in that moment. And I saw the opening and I went, or I realized I had more in my legs than anybody else, right? They're just present in the race. And not overburdened by the importance of the moment, right? Just present in the race.
You can't make the moment bigger than you, or then you disappear.
Yes. So number 3, you said they do the daily work. And that is the thing that I think I was trying to say at the beginning, is a quantum leap. It's not like I just watched a really not so great but awesome movie on Netflix yesterday. I picked it because adult Lindsay Lohan was in it, and I was like, I need to see this. But it was called The Irish Wish, and it was not a great movie. But but the premise was like, she just wished for something and then got it. And spoiler alert, she realizes she didn't really want what she wished for. But like, it's not like, you know, I'm sitting on my couch today and tomorrow, and I've always wanted to be an Olympian, or my husband has this dream a lot, so I'll use his. This is Jim's stress dream, is that like all of a sudden he's been called up to be on the Lakers and he hasn't dribbled a basketball in years, and it's like the playoffs and they need him, right? That's not how we do quantum leaps. I think that's how we think about quantum leaps a lot of the time, is like, today I'm on my couch, tomorrow I'm a billionaire. But that's not generally how quantum leaps work, right? It's like you do the daily work, and then one day you wake up and look around and be like, oh, check it out. That whole time I had my head down, I was climbing this mountain.
Yes.
And now look at this amazing view. And that is the daily work, is the underglorified part of everything, is like, and then the fourth thing you said was they have a coach. And I changed that to they listen to their coach. Because they sort of I sort of assume that they have a coach, but like so many times in that post-race interview or that whatever thing, they say, I didn't know. And I looked at my coach and they told me, like, whether it's a coach or their mom or whatever, they have a support system. They have somebody there that is believing in it with them, and sometimes for them, right? Sometimes when we're too busy doing the work and we're in our self-doubt, you need a coach or somebody to remind you like, this this is happening. We've got this. And they keep showing up. And I think that goes to like doing the daily work. But I know that I think you meant they keep showing up, even when they doubt, even when they don't feel like doing the daily work, even when it's inconvenient, because they have a level of commitment to where they started with their why, right? I know that I love this. I think about running in the rain. I love running in the rain. I hate running in the rain, you know? Like, I do not want to leave my front door when it is cold and rainy. I don't want to get out of my car. I'm not excited about the starting of that run. But there is no better feeling than running in the rain, right? So there's that keep showing up, that knowing there are going to be days I don't feel like doing that. I heard Michael Phelps talk about that a lot. Like, oh my God, do you think I wanted to wake up at 5:30 every day or whenever he was waking up? But he did it. And I think maybe we should talk about the alignment of that. Keep doing it even when you don't want to do it. But do you do it when you don't want to do it? Right?
So I think I mean more like, there's going to be a vacation that you go on that gets you out of your momentum. Well, do you start back up when you get home? You missed a deadline that you set for yourself, that you told people this would be here on that day. You missed it. Do you actually then just say, okay, it's all right. It'll be late, but I'll still deliver it. I found, I can get back into it and then do it, instead of just saying, never mind, I missed it. I more mean like, yes, showing up, when you say you will, daily, weekly, whatever, is really important. I don't force myself. I make a flexible schedule work for me because I'm not a very rigid person. But I also mean like, when it's easy to quit, throw in the towel, you get sick, people come after you and say, I don't think this is a good idea for you. You shouldn't be doing this, right? Like, having the fortitude to listen to your insides, that deeper inside of, this is for me, this is who I am, this is what I want to be doing. Or even in the beginning, following that curiosity when it's not that strong, right? But doing it for you, doing it because you deserve to live a life that's full, that's rich, right? So showing up for yourself, even if it's non-physical yet, right? Even if you haven't seen the results yet.
Which is what we talk about. Like, I'm thinking about like meditating.
Mm-hmm.
Keep showing up and doing it.
Yeah. And like Jane is saying, so yeah, please talk about that. Having fun doing it versus grinding it out. So this takes maturity. This takes effort. I talked about it a couple of weeks ago where I love to write, but getting into the writing is hard for me because there's so much other stuff I could be doing that's way easier to start, right? Like anything else, even homework often is easier to start for me than writing. But I have projects that I want to deliver on regularly. And so I'm not a grinded out person. It doesn't work for me. So I know I need to change my alignment. I need to change my momentum so I can do what's hard for me. So in the middle of the day, I'll go meditate for 5 minutes, just take some time out, clear the slate so that I can go sit down and write. Or I make littler milestones for myself. Okay, I'm going to come up with a concept. All right, I'm going to come up with the outline. All right, I'm going to just fill in what I can right now. All right, I'm going to go back to it, right? So like breaking something up, figure out how to make it work for you. Why? Because it's important to you. Number one, what is your why? Oh, this is important for me. I want to do this. I want it to be easier. So figure out how to make it easier, right? Figure out how to make it fun.
I'm often just thinking about like the things that I do, right? So the keep showing up. When it comes to, this is not even being an Olympian anymore. This is like knowing, like, I love feeling in shape. I love feeling like lean and fit and fast and strong. And when I get out of that, I know that the road back is not instantaneous. And I've also learned, right, to be gentle with myself. But anyhow, the way that I show up for myself is like, okay, I'm just going to start. I'm
Mhm.
just going to start. All right, I'm just going to run to that tree. I'm just going to, right? Like just sort of keep doing it. And I have found finding that like balance. There are going to be days where I'm like, and I did it. I got to the tree. I'm going to walk home. Right?
Mhm.
Like high five to me. I said I showed up, and I am not feeling it today, and so I'm not going to do it. And then there are other days where I show up and I get to the tree and I'm like, all right, now we work.
Mhm.
Right?
Exactly. Lower the bar, celebrate your successes, as even as small as they are, right? And then maybe you'll have the energy to keep going.
And I'm going to talk about Alexi Papus's rule of thirds, but I want to get to your number 6 is believe. Believe, believe, believe. If you are, I've lost the name. Oh my gosh, what's that show with the believe sign and the, oh, Jane, tell me, write it in the chat. It's the coach that moves to England and starts coaching soccer, who's an American football coach. You guys are all
Are
screaming
you
it.
talking about Ted Lasso?
Yes, thank you.
Oh,
Ted
okay.
Lasso. I'm like, you're screaming it at your screens right now. Right? Ted Lasso, the crap out of that. Just believe. Belief. I mean, that's the magic elixir for me. And I don't know that there are many Olympians who didn't at some point believe that they could become an Olympian. At some point, you have to allow yourself to believe that it could be possible for you. And
Or
let that,
just don't think the opposite.
yeah, I was going to say, and allow that seed to germinate. um, Alexi Papus. I've seen her, I read her book several years ago. So she was an American distance runner who had Greek citizenship. And she's got a heck of a story, actually. But she became an Olympian for Greece when I think the Athens Olympics. So, like, how cool is that, right? To like be a Greek American, to be able to compete in the Olympics, which was her dream, in Greece for Greece, like so cool. But she talks about the rule of thirds. Have I told you this, Rachel? So her little like snippets of her interview are somehow showing up in my feed again after a couple of years, probably because it's an Olympic year. And it goes like this, but I use this to talk to my team today, and I just think you'll pull something out of this, I'm sure. She said, whenever you're chasing a big dream, so she tells a story of how she was, chasing her Olympic dream. It was getting close to the Olympics or maybe the Olympic trials. She really wanted to be an Olympian. She was doing a workout where her coach had set splits for her to run. So, like, you got to run this far in this amount of time. And she wasn't able to hit her splits. And she was feeling discouraged. And her coach said, that's okay. It's the rule of thirds. And she's like, what are you talking about? But he had also been an Olympian. And so she trusted him. She trusted her coach because he'd been to the Olympics and he had done great things and she wanted to do great things. And so his words had meaning for her. And he said, well, it's the rule of thirds. Whenever you're chasing a big dream, whenever you're doing something great, you're going to feel great a third of the time. You're going to feel okay a third of the time. And you're going to feel like absolute dog shit a third of the time. I think she said crappy. You're going to feel crappy a third of the time. And so he says to her, so today was a crappy day. Show up tomorrow, right? Just keep showing up. Keep believing. Keep knowing. Like, don't put too much importance on this day. Just know today was a crappy day, and that's okay. As long as you don't put together strings of crappy days, right? Too many crappy days in a row, then we need to look at some things. What kind of changes do we make? Too much time feeling great, maybe we're not working hard enough. Maybe we need to up our bar. And same with feeling okay every day isn't great either, right? You want to have some days where you're feeling awesome. But she was sort of like, he said to her, as long as you're third, as long as we're living by the rule of thirds, you're fine. And so I really like that for the keep showing up is like, so you have a crappy day, come back tomorrow. It'll be a great day. And, oh, so you have a great day. Amazing. It's probably going to be an average day or a crappy day after this, and we're not going to sweat it. We're going to be present and happy and thrilled and in belief for the great days, and we're going to be happy and present and completely okay on the crappy days.
Yeah. It's like Abraham's step 5, right? Like, you experience some contrast. Don't beat yourself up about it. It's all right. You're good. You're good. Keep going. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's interesting that we're like, how do you create a quantum leap? Just sort of be consistent, moving daily in the direction of your dream.
Yeah, I mean, you wonder, how do best-selling authors become best-selling authors? They keep writing and publishing books. How do business owners become millionaires? They keep doing what they're doing, and they, reach enough people. Like, there's no one way to do anything, but as long as you're tapped into your resources, doing something that you enjoy, that you love, right, that can come through you, and you keep going, you're going to get there. And again, we're not saying publish a video every week and do the same thing all the time. Like, consistency of what you're doing in the outer world, not necessarily necessary. Consistency of alignment and showing up for yourself, absolutely necessary. So hopefully we've inspired you on your journey to keep going, to dig a little deeper, to understand your why. Why are you doing this? What do you want out of this? Who are you? Are you putting enough of you into it? And your quantum leap could be around the corner. If you want help with that, let us know. Reach out to Carrie and I, because we are teaming up together to offer you a special 3-month quantum leap coaching program that's very immersive. We don't usually do anything less than 6 months, usually a year. So this is a really special opportunity. We'll send you more information in your email, or you can reach out to us and we'll have a chat. All right, my friends. Well, this was super fun. We hope you enjoy the Olympics if you're watching it. And I will talk to you next week. And Carrie will be here too. All right, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye.